Hey guys, some of you were asking about how I did the technique that is on this birdhouse. Let me see if I can show it to you better. Here is the birdhouse. So I have hydrangea flowers. They look a little shiny. I think it's the outdoor paint that I used has a little bit of sheen to it. But I'll just walk you through really quick this technique. It's known as one-stroke painting. See my messy palette over there, but super simple, satisfying. You can create something very nice in a very short amount of time. So I will quickly go through the whole painting, and then if you really want me to go through the technique more, I can do that in another video. Just let me know. And I know there's a lot of other people on here who also do this technique, so we can all come together and help you guys learn if you want to. So one-stroke painting, Donna Dewberry is the person that I know made it popular back in the day. And it's all about painting, your highlighting, your shading, everything in one stroke. And a key component to the painting method is making sure that you load your brush well. So what I am doing right now is I have a 3/4 inch brush, and I am picking up brown paint on one side and white paint on the other side, working it into my brush. And I am going to now create the vine part of my picture that you saw. So I'm just taking my brush that is loaded with both colors, and I'm going to apply a little bit of pressure as I begin and less pressure as I get to the end. Now, this is acrylic paper that I'm using to demonstrate on, and it is slightly dry. My paint has been sitting out a little bit, so my paint is kind of dry as well, so I'm not getting as smooth of a finish as I want. But you see how you can see a little bit of the brown, a little bit of the white in just one stroke. That's what one stroke is all about. So quickly, let's grab a few branches, pressing down when I want it fatter, raising the brush up when I want it thinner. And there you go. Let's just go with that. So I'm not even going to wash my brush off. I'm just going to take my paper towels and dry that brush off right now in between colors to save time. But I'm going to create some large leaves for you. The large leaf technique involves loading the brush with green and white. I'll grab some white from over there. So I'm just going to work those two colors into my brush until I'm happy with it. Sorry for my messy palette, but there we go. So got a good bit of paint in here. Grab just a little bit more. And I think I'm going to put one up here. So to do this technique, I'm starting with my brush almost perpendicular to the paper. I'm just leaning over a little, and then I'm going to apply some pressure on those bristles. It makes the bristles spread out, and I'm going to wiggle my paintbrush from side to side as I come around and make the leaf shape. And then I'm going to stand up at the end like that. That makes one side of the leaf. And now I'm going to come and make the other side, doing the same technique: wiggle, wiggle, turn, and stand. I picked up a little bit of that brown, but I'm not hating it, so I'm going to leave it. I'm going to go back, put a little touch of brown on the end of my brush and work that in with the green and pull a stem into my leaf. Okay, so it's already looking pretty, and that's just one leaf. So I'm going to go ahead and do another one quickly. I think I'll do one down here. Same thing, starting with the pressure, wiggle, turn, stand up, and come to a point. Okay, look, nasty at the bottom. I don't care. I can either come back and start to wiggle and clean it up like that, or I could go back over it. I'm going to hit it with the other side. So I'm picking up some more green, some more white, working it into my brush again, and I'm going to do the other side. Wiggle, stand, and come to a point. And you know, when you're just getting started, you can just get a piece of paper and practice that technique over and over again, just half leaves or whatever you need to do. just to get started. And like I said, if you want a technique video, I could do one with just different strokes if you want, but I bet you could find them out there, probably already in our group. So I'm going to pull in a little stem into this one. And there we have it. I'm going to make some smaller leaves now with a 16 flat brush. So it's just a little smaller. And I'm still going to pick up the green and the white. Work those. Oh, I didn't clean out my purple from my last hydrangeas I did, but that's okay. I say that's okay a lot because I really don't mind the little mistakes. You know, they're just, what did Bob Ross say? They were happy little accidents or whatever. It's not really something bad. When we make a mistake, we can turn it into something beautiful. So to make these small leaves, I'm starting again with my brush almost perpendicular to the page, putting the bristles to the page, pressing down to spread the brush and turning slightly as I lift up to get a good point. Gives us a nice, pretty leaf shape. I'm going to do that again, grabbing a little bit more paint. So I want to do a grouping of leaves over here. I really like to do leaves in groups of 3. I don't know why. It just seems to be aesthetically pleasing to me. Picking up just a touch of brown with that green when I get ready to pull in the stems. And I'm going to pull in some stems to these leaves. You notice I'm just holding my brush perpendicular to the paper and pulling those stems in. And I might do a couple of more, maybe 1 or 2 more over here. I think I'm going to have a cluster of flowers there, so these might not be that visible, but I'll go ahead and put a couple. Just going to do 2, I'm not going to do 3 this time. So let's pull in a, ooh, that stem is pretty yucky right there, but I don't really care. There we go. All right, so there we go. We have our leaves. It's already looking beautiful without the flowers, but it's going to be even better with the flowers. So you can either wash your brush out or you can just dry it on your paper towel and get ready to pick up some paint. So for the hydrangea blossoms, I'm going to start with this burgundy color and some white. And this paint, if it looks kind of thin, it's because I was using outdoor paint. I already had it out and on my palette, so I just left it, and that's what I'm demonstrating with, but it's a little bit thinner. It still works though. So I'm working that all up into my brush, and then I'm going to come to the page and I'm just going to press down, make a kind of a comma shape, and then stand back up, and that is 1 petal on the flower. So then I'm going to work around the flower doing the same thing. You can do it on both sides. If it's really hard for you at first to do both sides, then you can always pick up your paper and turn it around to make it easier. I kind of broke myself of that habit whenever I began to paint some of these designs on people's walls. Couldn't turn the wall around. I'm not going to worry about these edges of this flower or the center not being perfect because I'm going to be layering in a bunch of flowers, and I will make sure the ones on top look good. So very quickly, I'm just going to plop in some more, doing that same stroke to build the flowers. Picking up more paint each time. It really is key to this technique to have lots of paint on your brush. Loading it is a big part of it. There is something called floating medium that you can add to your paint that makes it glide a little bit on coarse textures. Like this acrylic paper is actually pretty coarse. It's grabbing the paint, so floating medium would not be a bad idea, and sometimes on rough wood it helps as well. So just a few more of these in here, and then I'm going to start grabbing a blue color and working that in. And I think I want to put another little cluster right at the bottom, so I'm going to go ahead, put me a couple of burgundy flowers down here, just really quick. You can see that if you once you get rolling with this technique, you can actually accomplish a lot in a little bit of time. And it looks like you've spent a whole lot longer because of the highlights and shading in there. And I also know from a purist point of view that this is not perfect highlighting and shading. This is basically what you call folk art. So there's a little bit of, what's the word I want to use? Liberty. There's some artistic license you can take here. And it's not completely realistic. So there you go. Have a few right there. I feel like I need one more at the top. I'm gonna quickly grab that paint and go put me one more right here. Boom. Very quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's make that one a little neater. But I'm gonna layer it with blue anyway. I'm not even gonna wipe the paint off of my brush when I first start my blue flowers, because I want kind of a mixture of the blue and the burgundy. So I'm gonna pick up a little blue and a little burgundy. I made a little blue and a little white. Work that into my brush. I want a little more burgundy in there even as I start this. All right, so then I'm gonna layer in these flowers that are kind of a mixture of blue and burgundy. You know how it is if you see a hydrangea, how when the pH is changing, I guess that is what it is that happens, and the flower is sometimes pink or sometimes blue, and sometimes it's like it can't make up its mind. That's kind of what I envision here. So I'm gonna grab just a little bit more. Still working it in here. I'm gonna put maybe one more right here. And you can certainly tell that this is not perfection, but it still looks nice. And then I'm going to put a couple of blue blossoms down here. And obviously you could change up your colors if you want more pastel-y looking blossoms. You could for sure do that. Some lighter colors in. I'll put one more right here. And you also notice that I'm never letting anything dry. I'm just going right on top of it. And if it grabs some of the other paint, then hey, it's okay with me. So I think that's good. I think that's all I want to do. And then to finish these flowers off, I just take yellow paint on the opposite end of my brush. And wherever I can truly see a center, I just put a little dot in there. I think it looks better with a little smaller dot, but you know, if I get a large one, I don't care. So where else you can almost see the center there. So I'm gonna put just a tiny bit right there and come over here. Whoa, that one's really big. Oh, well, tiny bit right there, right there, right there. Okay, and I am almost done. I'm gonna do one more step. The last thing that I usually do when I make these paintings is I use a script liner, a long skinny brush. I get some water. I'm gonna use my Nasty Paint water. And I am going to drip some of that over here with my green because I want to thin out my green paint a little bit. I'm going to work that into my green paint to make it a little bit more like ink. It's kind of like the consistency of, maybe it's a little thicker than tea, but like milk maybe consistency, but not color. So I have my script liner loaded, and when you load a script liner, you kind of roll it as you're pulling it off of the palette to make sure you have a good point. And then I'm just going to take that. I almost always use my pinky as a guide, and I will put my pinky on my paper, and then I'm going to come out and make some curly cues with this script liner brush. And it doesn't matter if some of them are not perfect or if there's breaks in them. I think it just makes it look even better. So I'm going to grab maybe one over here, come out from here. And it doesn't matter if it overlaps what you've done before. It's just adding a little bit more to what you're doing. And one more right down here. And there you have it. That's that one stroke technique that I used on the birdhouses. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you have questions.